Hi guys, today I'll show you how to test an alternator on a scooter using a Chinese 4-stroke scooter as an example, since the most scooters out there are Chinese 4-stroke scooters. The alternator is located on the right side of the scooter under this cover here. You can also see the alternator cable coming out here. On some scooters, the connectors we need to test are accessible from the outside, while on the others they are not. That's why I'll show you the simplest way to access them on all scooters. Of course, there are some exceptions, such as some Piaggio models where the cables doesn't exit from the top but run underneath the engine and come out on the other side. The connectors can be found there then. The easiest way to access the connectors is by removing the storage compartment under the seat. To do this, we open the seat compartment and remove these 4 screws and this one. Unfortunately, there are some models where you will need to remove half the bodywork to get the compartment out, because it is secured with additional screws here on the sides. Luckily, it's very simple here. Alright, the seat compartment is out. Now if you follow the cable from the alternator with your hand, you'll eventually reach a connector, this one. On some scooters the main connector has 3 cables, here I have 2 cables and 2 additional connectors. These 2 cables are for, the yellow one is for the lightning and the white one is for charging the battery. You also might find a 3rd cable here, the black one or a green one, that would be the ground. These 2 cables have nothing to do with the ignition, so if you have ignition issues you can ignore them. Instead, that's typically these 2, especially the black-red one. But in this video we will test them all. However, for lighting and charging issues, the alternator is not the only component responsible. The rectifier is also involved. On most models, the rectifier is located here at the front under the bodywork. The link to the video how to test a rectifier you will find in the video description. In this video I will test the alternator. For the measurement we will need a multimeter. For this model, plug the black cable into the black socket and the red cable into the lower red socket for measuring voltage and resistance. Then I will unplug the connector here. If you have a scooter where the connector has also a green cable, attach the black probe of the multimeter to the green cable, which is the ground. If there is no green cable, attach the black probe to any metal part of the scooter that serves as a ground. For example, I secure it between the fan cover and the scooter's housing. But don't push it too far in.
That's what she said.
Because the rotor underneath is spinning and it might get scratched. Just a bit is enough. Now I'll set the multimeter to 200 volts AC. Now we can start the scooter, and with the red probe we will measure the yellow cable, which is lightning coil, and then the white cable, the charging coil. Both should deliver between 14 and 70 volts. And I will start with the lightning. Yeah, now you could see at idle it showed a good mid-range, which is fine. But at full throttle the voltage went over 100 volts, which is too high, and it was not even the peak, it could go higher. Now let's measure the charging coil. I'll remove the red probe from the yellow cable and insert it to the white cable, and the black probe can stay on the ground. And let's start the scooter again. If you are finding this video helpful, hit that thumbs up button and consider subscribing for more videos. And again, we could see it's delivering too much voltage at full throttle. And finally, we will test these two cables here. This one is from the pickup coil and the black-red one is from the 100 to 200 volt coil. Now I'll set the multimeter to 2000 ohms. And I'll test the pickup coil first. Its resistance should be between approximately 150 and 300 ohms. This time we will not start the engine, and yes, almost 150, it's within the acceptable range. Next I'll test the resistance of the black-red cable. The resistance here should be between 200 and 1000 ohms. Yeah, this is also a good value, that looks good. Testing these two cables makes sense if you are not getting a spark. Testing the other two makes sense if the battery isn't charging correctly, is overcharging, or if you have issues with lighting, like the lights don't work or are not bright enough or keep burning out. And here's another measurement on the different scooter. First the lightning coil, the yellow cable. Here also the black probe goes on any metal part of the scooter. Now those were the correct values even at full throttle under 70 volts. Now let's test the charging coil, the white cable. Here we could see it went slightly above 73 volts, but as I mentioned, it can be slightly different from model to model, and 73 is still a normal value. Now I removed the old alternator of the first scooter and installed the new one, and yeah, the previous readings were incorrect. With the new alternator the values are now within a proper range. The voltage rises up to 70 volts and doesn't exceed that. The charging coil reaches about 75 volts, which is still acceptable. In the video description you will find the video how to test the voltage regulator or the rectifier. That's all for now. If you like this video, I'd appreciate a thumbs up. Feel free to subscribe to my channel and so you don't miss any tips. And with that, goodbye and safe travels.